Good afternoon. There are continued calls today for the cancellation of the Al-Quds rally, scheduled for tomorrow afternoon outside the U.S. consulate.
Similar events are held around the world in show of solidarity with the Palestinian people, but some critics of the rallies have described them as anti-Semitic. CTV's Janice Golding's been following this story and joins us now with more. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, an Al-Quds Day demonstration is slated to take place here in front of the U.S. consulate tomorrow afternoon. However, there are growing cries that the event should be canceled. In fact, two city councillors, Brad Bradford and James Pasternak, are calling on city solicitors to file an emergency injunction to stop the annual Al-Quds Day rally, which has been held in Toronto for more than a decade now. Organizers describe the event as an annual walk for Palestine, but councillors Bradford and Pasternak are calling the rally, quote, a hate fest, and they say it shouldn't be permitted to take place on the heels of 3 synagogue shootings in the GTA, as well as gunfire here at the consulate earlier this week. Al-Quds Day was first established in 1979 following the Iranian Revolution. Critics, however, have called the rallies anti-Semitic. The UK's Home Secretary recently cancelled London's Al-Quds Day march, in fact, over concerns about public disorder. But despite heightened geopolitical tensions, Toronto's annual event is still scheduled to take place tomorrow. Here is more from Councillor Bradford.
I think it creates a lot of potential for jeopardy. And it's a very dynamic situation. It's difficult to control. It's difficult for police to control. And I don't want to see anyone get hurt. I don't want to see any threats of violence. I don't want things to get violent. So this is in light of the context of the world that we're living in. It's in light of the events that have unfolded in Toronto over the past week, where 3 synagogues were shot up. And given the origin of this particular march, I think it would be better for the city to take proactive action to keep our residents safe, file the injunction, and cancel the march for this weekend.
Well, Toronto police say they are prepared. Councillors Pasternak and Bradford say that since 2023, TPS has spent more than $44 million policing such protests and say, quote, enough is enough. Reporting live from Janice Golding, now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Still to come, the latest on the situation on the ground in the Middle East. We'll have more on the ongoing war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran a little later in the newscast.
But first, a man walked into hospital following a shooting in Midtown overnight.
It's unsettling. I've been here for 20 years, and I've run at this time of the morning for 20 years, and when you come across something like this, it is unsettling. Overall, it's a really safe neighborhood. And I just hope that this is more of an isolated incident.
The shooting happened shortly before 2 a.m. outside an apartment complex near Yonge and Eglinton. Police say a man in his 20s walked into a nearby hospital suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. So far, investigators have not released any information about possible suspects. Police services across the country are being given new tools to investigate serious threats.
It's all part of a collaboration with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. CTV's John Musselman was at the announcement in Mississauga this morning and joins us live with more details. John.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, we had federal politicians here as well as police departments from across the area. We're talking about Bill C-22 and adding more digital resources to police. And what this is really about, especially in the area of Peel and Caledon, is dealing with these cases of extortions that we've reported on over the months and the last few years. And this will help police authorities and legal officials pinpoint who these criminals are and how they're behaving in a digital world in hopes of identifying them quicker. We did hear from politicians this morning. Here's what they had to say.
It is not about surveillance of honest, hardworking Canadians going about their daily lives. It is about keeping Canadians safe and catching criminals. It ensures that law enforcement can obtain timely, lawfully authorized information when they need it. It aims to create a consistent and clear legal framework for service providers to allow them to comply with existing legal orders. And it brings our laws in line with the Supreme Court rulings to make clear that law enforcement and CSIS can receive tips, ask for information to be provided voluntarily, or use publicly available information to investigate crime and threats to our security.
This legislation ensures that the law reflects what has changed in modern policing and in all of your lives, to be frank. The legal framework speaks to our ability, obviously, to obtain data, search, and seize information in a way that can I tell you, never existed. The legislation as it stands was in a pre-digital world. And those that are harming our communities right across this country are the ones that are taking advantage of the fact that we haven't had the tools to stop this.
And as you just heard from the chief there, this really is about updating their digital tools and how they deal with these crimes. We'll have much more on this story on CTV News at 5 and 6. Reporting live in Peel, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. A man is fighting for his life in hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Etobicoke. Police say the pedestrian was struck on Lakeshore Boulevard west of Brown's Line around 8 last night. He was rushed to hospital where he remains in critical condition. The driver involved remained at the scene, and the circumstances leading up to the man being struck are still being investigated. We're following some developing news out of Queen's Park, where the Ford government has unveiled plans to overhaul Ontario's Freedom of Information laws.
That has critics sounding the alarm over plans to exempt all cabinet records from these transparency laws.
This particular policy that we're bringing into place today, which will be in the spring bundle, will protect cabinet confidentiality. But what I also might add to this, it also protects the people of Ontario with respect to any sort of cyber incidents or information which may put our people or communities at risk, will protect the people of Ontario. I think that's an important part of this. I think we need to recognize as well. This is 40-year-old legislation, almost 40 years old. So updating it was well overdue. And again, we're going to be in line with the majority of the rest of the Canadian provinces and the federal government.
Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery Stephen Crawford said confidentiality is crucial so that members of cabinet can have candid conversations without any potential blowback. Journalists, opposition parties, and members of the public regularly file Freedom of Information requests to shed more light on government decision-making. The NDP says there is no justification for the PCs to take this step.
No government changes the FOI rules unless they are trying to hide corruption, okay? If we had not had ability to use Freedom of Information laws to access information about the Greenbelt scandal, we would not have learned what we did there. The Greenbelt scandal, SDF, the Science Center, the Las Vegas happy ritual massages, one scandal after another, certainly. So there's no reason for this government to change these laws other than that they are actually trying to hide from the public.
Directions from ministers' offices to the public service would still be subject to Freedom of Information requests, but the exclusion of cabinet documents would apply retroactively to past documents, including some that are the focus of ongoing requests and investigations.
Drivers hoping to get away from March break are feeling more pain at the pumps as gas prices jumped overnight.
And there doesn't appear to be any relief in sight as prices are expected to continue to rise through the weekend. CTV's Mike Walker has been speaking with drivers and joins us live with the latest. Mike.
Well, Natalie, once again, we're hearing frustration from drivers, but many we spoke with are not surprised given how much gas prices have soared since the war in the Middle East started. And many are telling us the longer this trend continues, they may consider changing their driving habits. So after some relief at the pumps on Thursday, gas prices have surged 6 cents across the GTA. Here in Midtown, the average price to fill up hovering right now around the $1.57 and $1.58 mark. Diesel now almost $2 per liter. And as we head into March break, analysts are predicting another 8-cent jump tomorrow. They say prices will continue to climb as the conflict in the Middle East continues with no resolution in sight, which they say is impacting crude prices. Economists warn if this trend continues, it will further drive up inflation and the pain will be felt beyond the pumps.
Well, not too pleased about it. I think it's a case of the oil companies trying to protect their profit margins by raising the prices for consumers. Well, it's going to make me look more towards driving a little bit less.
It's what it is. We can't help it.
I'm not working anymore, so for me right now, costs are going to go up and I'm going to feel it.
We're going to look at some pretty unfortunate increases in prices for things like groceries and other consumer goods, because we're now seeing the price of diesel more than $2 a liter all across the country. And I mean, that just drives up the price of transportation.
Dan McTagg with Canadians for Affordable Energy says the price to fill up has climbed about 28 cents since this conflict has started. He says what will also impact prices is when we switch from the winter to the summer blends, which is expected to start in the next couple of days. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Natalie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Well, today is Friday the 13th, and the OPP are offering some reminders for anyone planning to mark the date in Port Dover on the shores of Lake Erie. Motorcycle riders normally gather in the town on Friday the 13th with large crowds in the summer months especially. OPP say they are expecting increased pedestrian and vehicle traffic today. They are also urging drivers to pay attention to the road conditions as winter weather could impact the ride.
A note for transit riders, there is a subway closure to keep in mind this weekend. Trains on Line 2 will not be running between St. George and Broadview stations on Saturday. The closure is to accommodate signal work. Shuttle buses will be running. The TTC says regular service is set to resume Sunday morning around 8. And a reminder for commuters on Line 6, as of Sunday, you'll have no longer have to transfer to shuttle buses for service after 10 p.m. That's when the Finch West LRT will officially move to full operations until 1 in the morning. It follows a months-long soft launch, which included nightly closures for maintenance. The TTC says trains will arrive every 6.5 minutes during weekday rush hours. They'll arrive every 10 minutes at all other times. More news in a moment, but first, a live look at the city this afternoon as we check on the forecast. And we've been talking about the snow, and here it is. And not only are we dealing with it on the roads and sidewalks, but visibility might be a concern as well. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. Yeah, in addition to falling snow, we are also expecting some very strong winds today, which will blow that snow around, certainly reducing visibility. And not only that, but with this snow now underway, we are expecting in some areas 1 to 3 centimeters of snow per hour. So it's coming down at a pretty good pace right now. A wind warning has just been issued for Niagara region. We've got special weather statements around the GTA, winter storm warnings off to the northwest, and a snowfall warning for portions of York and Durham region. So in those communities, 15 centimeters of snow is not out of the realm of possibility. We expect 5 centimeters of snow in Toronto or more, maybe up to 8 or even 10 centimeters. Winds right now are coming out of the southeast. We're starting to see them pick up in strength. Gusts close to 60 kilometers per hour going to be possible later today and tonight. It is -1 degree this hour in Toronto, but we are expecting the temperature to climb above freezing. If and when that happens, there could be a changeover to some rain showers, especially along the shoreline of Lake Ontario. So we'll give you an idea of what to expect for the rest of your Friday. And of course, your weekend forecast is coming up. For now, though, Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And the city is reactivating its warming centers as the cold weather returns. 5 sites will open today at 5 p.m. Warming centers are activated when temperatures are forecast to reach -5 or below. They provide vulnerable residents with a space to get out of the cold, rest, and have a meal. Walk-ins are welcome.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Norway to observe NATO's cold response exercises as Canada deepens ties with Nordic countries. About 25,000 troops from 14 different countries are taking part in the exercises. The Prime Minister was in Yellowknife yesterday to announce an additional $32 billion for upgrades to this country's Arctic defense capabilities. Speaking today, Carney said Canada is committed to doing its part in the military alliance and today's joint exercises.
It is incredibly important for Canada to be a participant in this with our special forces. We're learning a lot. I think hopefully we're passing on a few lessons and we'll take this forward. We will protect our own territories. We will protect the high north, the Arctic, and in doing so, we will protect NATO, we'll protect freedom, democracy, and human rights.
The PM will also attend the Canada-Nordic Summit on his trip to Northern Europe before heading to the UK.
New data from Stats Canada shows the country's unemployment rate rose in February to 6.7%. The agency says the country lost 84,000 jobs last month, mostly among men between the ages of 25 and 54. The losses came largely from full-time and private sector work. The February numbers come less than a week before the Bank of Canada is set to make its next interest rate decision.
Well, as people prepare to travel over March break, new polling conducted by Nanos Research for CTV News is outlining how likely it is that people will be heading to the U.S. CTV's Rachel Aiello has been taking a look at these numbers and joins us live from Ottawa with more. Rachel, what can you tell us about the data?
Yeah, good afternoon, Natalie. So what NANO's research has found is that 43% of Canadians are less likely to travel to the U.S. compared to last year. Now, 38% said they just generally don't plan to vacation in the United States. Another 4%, just 4% though, said that they likely will spend more time leisurely vacationing in the U.S. this year. So clearly these numbers are showing an indication that Canadians are continuing to want to send a signal to the United States that they're not happy with the state of the relationship. Obviously, tension remains when it comes to trade in the Canada-U.S. relationship, tariffs, just like that. But I do think, Natalie, when I'm looking at these numbers, there's a few other things that really stood out to me that could be possibilities for exacerbating Canadian sentiment not wanting to go to the U.S. I'm thinking about the Canadian dollar compared to the United States. It would be more expensive to travel south of the border than it would be to plan a vacation in Canada. And then, of course, some of the uncertainty around crossing the border right now. Some of the stories we've been covering about Canadians' experiences with border officers and generally the push on immigration in that country may be adding to some Canadians' hesitance. So really what we're showing here is numbers that are indicating Canadians are not inclined to head to the U.S. this year.
What about the Canada Strong Pass? We know that was popular last summer. Do you have a sense as to whether it's expected to have an impact again this year?
Yeah, so based on the folks that NANO spoke to, 49% said the Canada Strong Pass had a positive impact on their travel plan. So just to remind folks, this is a pass the federal Liberals brought in after the last election, offering discounted or free access to things like Via Rail, museums, Canadian parks, of those nature, trying to get Canadians to spend more time exploring this country. So the Liberals brought it back just over this past holiday between December and January. The Liberals are saying it will be back again in time for June, but of note, not in place this March break, which may be why the Prime Minister is deciding to spend some of his personal time in Europe this year.
Okay, CTV's Rachel Ayalo in Ottawa with the latest on that. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
The Trump administration is expanding its trade investigations to 60 countries, including Canada, as it considers new ways to impose tariffs. On Wednesday, the Office of U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said it was investigating a number of countries under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. The U.S. president is hoping to implement longer-term tariffs under that process after the Supreme Court said he could not use emergency powers to put those levies in place. Canada wasn't mentioned in the first round of countries on Wednesday, but was included in the updated list last night. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says she stands with the Jewish community after yesterday's vehicle ramming and shooting attack at a synagogue near Detroit.
It was hate, plain and simple. We will fight this ancient and rampant evil. We will stand together as we do it, and we will call it out. We must lower the rhetoric in this state and in this country, especially at this moment where we have seen such a rise in anti-Semitism and more attacks on the Jewish community.
Whitmer also thanked the synagogue security personnel who put themselves in harm's way of the person who fatally shot the suspect, make that to prevent potential tragedy. He's been identified as a 41-year-old naturalized citizen born in Lebanon, according to U.S. officials.
U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is warning the U.S. will launch its highest volume of strikes on Iran in an ongoing effort to weaken the country's military capabilities.
The United States is decimating the radical Iranian regime's military in a way the world has never seen before. Never before has a modern, capable military, which Iran used to have, been so quickly destroyed and made combat ineffective, devastated.
Meanwhile, the U.S. military says a refueling aircraft supporting the operation against Iran has crashed in western Iraq. 4 of the 6 people on board were killed, and rescue efforts are ongoing for the other 2 crew members. U.S. Central Command says the crash happened following an unspecified incident involving 2 aircraft in friendly airspace. The other plane landed safely. Officials say the circumstances of the crash are being investigated, but the crash was not a result of hostile or friendly fire.
Iranian state TV read out a statement attributed to the country's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. It was his first statement since taking over from his father, who was killed in airstrikes on the first day of the war. Khamenei vowed to keep blocking the Strait of Hormuz, as a threat of attacks along the key shipping route have caused fuel prices to soar. The U.S. is now easing sanctions on some Russian oil in an effort to raise supply and lower prices.
Large explosions rocked an area of Tehran where thousands of people had gathered for the annual state-organized Al-Quds Day rally. Israel had previously warned that it would strike the area of Iran's capital. Iranian state media say a woman was killed after being struck by shrapnel. The country's health ministry says more than 1,400 have been killed and more than 18,000 people have been injured by U.S. and Israeli strikes since the start of the war.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron today. Zelensky's looking to shore up support from France, which has been one of Ukraine's key allies in the ongoing war with Russia. The war in the Middle East has raised questions about the supply of weapons available to Ukraine 4 years into Russia's invasion. Well, Toronto celebrated its birthday this week, marking 192 years.
66 mayors have led the city over those nearly 2 centuries, some making it into the history books for reasons they may have wanted to turn the page on. When you think of modern-day drama at Toronto City Hall,
yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
There has been no shortage of scandal.
Permitting this relationship to develop was a serious error in judgment.
Or memorable moments.
I'm truly sorry, and I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry.
But mayoral missteps aren't new. It just wasn't all caught on camera back then.
This was a bustling place, and the council chamber was upstairs.
City Hall watcher Mark Maloney took a deep dive into the history of the Toronto Mayor's office.
This is Nathan Phillips Square.
And published a book about some of the colorful characters who helped shape the city into what it is today.
It's a very rich history. We've had a murder. We've had people who ended up being refugees for several years. They had to leave Toronto. We had a mayor who went insane.
One Toronto mayor, John Powell, committed murder a month before taking office and tried to kill a prior mayor, but his pistol jammed. Mayor Henry Sherwood carried out a home invasion with an unruly mob. He had 18 kids and said he was too poor to pay his election expenses, but went on a luxury European vacation, where he died. Mayors William Lyon Mackenzie and Thomas Morrison were both forced to escape Toronto with just the clothes on their back and live in exile. Mayor Ernest MacDonald ran for 18 different offices before he finally won, but then lost his mind as he died from severe syphilis. But there were also stories of nobility serving not only the city, but the country.
There was a mayor who voluntarily left to go and fight in World War I. And then he ended up, being gassed in the trenches. Like, here he goes from mayor to the trenches. Like, wow.
66 mayors and 192 years in, some things never changed.
There's personalities, there's characters, but if you look at the council minutes and the issues they were dealing with, even 100 years ago, many of them are actually the same. It's just in a different, more sophisticated way, perhaps.
A long line of mayors, each with their own story in the many chapters of this city's history.
Well, in the city today, you are going to find some wet snow, and that's the case right across the GTA. But areas like downtown Toronto have the possibility of seeing perhaps a little less, with that snow being wetter and perhaps some showers mixing in as well. So this is a general snapshot of how much snow we are expecting this afternoon. You'll notice into double-digit numbers the further north and west you go of here. This is your weekend forecast, so a few flurries lingering into Saturday morning, but otherwise a dry day. Sunday, we are watching for another system moving in, and just like today, this one has the ability to bring us some snow, perhaps some rain, and maybe some ice pellets as well. Lots to talk about in your weekend forecast, and your March break details are after this break here on CTV News at noon.
Humber Polytechnic is hosting a first-of-its-kind competition for some of the brightest teens from across the province.
They have gathered at the school's campus to showcase their robotics skills. CTV's Sean Lee Thong has been taking in the competition and joins us live now with more. Sean.
Well, Natalie and Nathan, it's not the first, but FIRST is actually an acronym to describe the competition. It stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. And what we have here, it's an amazing competition. If you look right behind us, you see this robot. What that does, it actually gathers these yellow balls, and its job is to shoot it into a basket, much like a basketball game. The competition itself, this is the competition field you're seeing in front of you. Now, what these teams do, there are 29 teams from high schools across Ontario. The farthest away is from Sudbury. They will come with one robot, maybe more, and they will actually team up with some other schools to play a competition one at a time. It's 3 versus 3, and they're trying to get it into those baskets right there. If we move along down the line, you can see how big this area is at Humber College. Beyond the 29 teams, there's spectators that have come as well. And with us to talk about it is Dan Monty, who is from Llewellyn Park Secondary School in Sudbury. Dan, what does this competition mean to your team?
It's been a long 8 weeks here building our robots, and really patience is a big thing here with this first robotics competition. We're just so proud to be here after a really long build season. We're really proud of the accomplishments, to see the students work and basically see the robots come to life here.
Now, you've been teaching this for years. Where do these kids go? What do they become?
One of the things that we say at first is more than robots. We're building people, not just robots. And these students gain critical thinking skills, problem solving, communication, working with others. These students go on to do great things after, whether they're in engineering, trades, business, any part of the world.
Now, you may be able to see it at home, but this place is alive. Now, can you speak to just how alive this gym becomes over the course of the competition?
I just think, you know, you hear robotics and you think, when I explain it to people, you think, oh, very small scale, small thing. You get here and it's like a sporting event, right? There's people cheering, there's crowd noise, there's audience, there's intense matches. It's just a great place and a great environment to be in.
All right, thank you very much. That's Dan Monty coming all the way down from Sudbury for this competition. They will compete here all day. You can hear the crowd around us. It's absolutely amazing. There'll be competitions through today and then tomorrow, wrapping up tomorrow night to find out who the best there is. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leadong. I'll send it back to you inside.
What a big turnout.
Well, just when we had a taste of spring earlier this week, the flakes are now falling again on this Friday. The snow was all melted, and now it's coming down again.
We knew it was coming, but it was almost a surprise because this morning it seemed like nothing was going on. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we've got snow.
Yeah,
it's a surprise to all of us except you.
Well, what can I say? I've been watching this for days, so yes, it was not a surprise to me. I am happy that this messy weather did manage to skip the majority of the morning commute. If you're in the West End, it may have just clipped you right at the end, but yes, the snow is here now. It is coming down, and it's coming down at a pretty good pace. It's a wet, sticky snow as well. Just what you want for your Friday, and hey, if that's not enough, we've got more messy weather in store for Sunday. Let's get to your weekend forecast. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. I know we could have been fooled this morning with that beautiful sunrise. Look at this shot from our CTV News chopper early on, but you know what they say, red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. And then just about an hour ago, this is what the roads looked like in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. This part of Ontario seeing the snow for a little bit longer than us here in the GTA. But yeah, once again, the plows need to be out to help clear the roads and the sidewalks. The snow, as mentioned, could be falling at a rate of 1 to 3 centimeters per hour, maybe even a little bit more in some cases. We remain under a special weather statement here in the city of Toronto, but it is winter storm warnings to the northwest, snowfall warning for portions of York and Durham region, and we've got a wind warning in place for the Niagara area. Nice close look at the snow now making its way through downtown Scarborough, Durham, north into parts of York region as well. Barrie not being spared by this one either, and Muskoka, areas east of Georgian Bay and the Bruce Peninsula, seeing the snow at this time too. So this is going to be with us for the afternoon today. Things are going to improve as we make our way into the night and into tomorrow. But then here comes the next one for Sunday, and this one has the opportunity to bring us some snow, but maybe also some rain and ice pellets once again. I've paused this here at about noon tomorrow to show you this is round one, and then as far as additional snowfall is concerned, maybe another 4 to 5 centimeters of snow into the day on Sunday. But again, better chance perhaps that day of some mixing or at the very least some rain re-entering the forecast by Monday. Speaking of rain, heads up late this afternoon and early evening. A changeover to some rain is expected, especially for the west end of the GTA and downtown. That would lessen snowfall totals if that does in fact happen. But otherwise, it is going to be snow, some clearing into the day on Saturday. Here comes the next round for Sunday, beginning in the morning, a little bit of a break later on, and then some wet and messy weather expected for many into Monday. The winds are a big part of the story today, too. They could be gusting close to 80 kilometers per hour in some areas, and it's still going to be quite windy through the day tomorrow before settling down after that. It is -1 degree right now, but we are forecasting a high of +3 degrees. And then tomorrow, temperatures are just above the freezing mark. Your 7-day forecast looks like this. There's Sunday, messy, mild but rainy on Monday, cold again with some flurries by Tuesday. That's your look at the forecast. Natalie, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. In sports, the Maple Leafs snapped their 8-game losing streak last night, but also lost their captain.
A rite of passage of the NHL.
It is in front.
Nylander finds
That's a trick knee on knee from Gudas.
Matthews is down.
Austin Matthews had to leave the game in the second period after a knee-on-knee collision. He had scored earlier in the game. The Leafs went on to win the contest 6-4. They will be back on the ice tomorrow to face off with the Buffalo Sabres. So far, no word on whether Matthews will play.
The Raptors have slid to 7th in the Eastern Conference, but hope to get back on track when they host the Phoenix Suns tonight.
Murray dancing with it. Murray, the three is shed.
The team's coming off a 122-111 loss to the New Orleans Pelicans on Wednesday. The Raps have lost 4 of their last 5 games. Tip-off for tonight's game against Phoenix is set for just after 7:30 at Scotiabank Arena.
Team Canada is set to square off against the U.S. in the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic tonight.
He's also walked a couple of times, and he crushes this one deep to right. Abraham Toro doubles the lead for Canada.
Canada advanced to the tournament's knockout round for the first time with a 7-2 win over Cuba. First pitch for tonight's game against Team U.S. is set for just after 8 p.m. in Houston.
Still to come, researchers at the Ottawa Hospital have made strides in improving blood clot medication. Those details when we come back.
The World Cup is coming to Canada.
Right before I close my eyes,
they have a dream to fulfill.
Canada, this is the moment we've all been waiting for.
That's what they came for.
Blood clots are the 3rd leading cause of cardiovascular death in Canada.
Groundbreaking research at the Ottawa Hospital recently pitted 2 common drug treatments against each other to determine what's best. CTV's Peter Sperling has the results.
I probably would have died.
Janice Duval's quick actions likely saved her life.
It was this, and I just couldn't breathe properly, and that's when I called 911.
Help arrived. She says one of the last things she remembers before getting to the hospital.
The ambulance attendant said, "Look at the size of her foot."
It was a blood clot in her leg that moved into her lungs.
Blood clots are very unforgiving once you get them and they start to travel. It's it can kill you.
Guidelines recommend patients recovering use a blood thinner. Now, thanks to research led by the Ottawa Hospital, the choice between 2 commonly used drugs may be clearer.
One of the biggest side effects that we worry about with blood thinners is bruising and bleeding concerns. And we found that apixaban, one of the blood thinners we use very commonly, has fewer bleeding events compared to rivaroxaban.
According to the Ottawa Hospital, it's the first clinical trial to put these 2 drugs used to treat blood clots head-to-head. It found apixaban is a clear winner.
And the results are very exciting. We have shown that one blood thinner is safer with respect to fewer bleeding complications than another blood thinner.
The international clinical trial with nearly 2,800 participants from around the world now published in the New England Journal of Medicine.
This is very exciting for all of us. This is something that we feel will change clinical practice guidelines.
The hospital says the research is important for physicians and patients like Duval.
I think it's wonderful.
Peter Sperling, CTV News.
Thank you.
Still to come this hour, Justin Trudeau's son has opened up about his father's relationship with pop star Katy Perry. We'll have those details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
It's been just over 6 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and people are still processing the global event. For more on how people are reacting online to the 6th anniversary of the start of the pandemic, we're joined live by Sam East, host with 99.9 Virgin Radio for our regular segment, Chronically Online. Sam, of course, we have not put this pandemic behind us. Just everywhere you go, people are talking about it still. What are you hearing?
Well, it looks like people love to reminisce. Even though it was 6 years ago, I feel like our sense of time was very much warped throughout all those years that we were going through the pandemic, and the internet very much agrees. So here's some of the online reaction to the 6-year mark. The world changed on 9/11 and then again on 3/11, as in March 11th, 2020. March 10th, 2020, the last normal day of humanity, because as of March 11th, it was a global pandemic. That was official. And these are just some of the scenes of what we saw when people attempted to go grocery shopping or had some semblance of a normal life, though nothing about this time was normal at all. People trying to get their haircuts in as safe of a manner as possible. Looking back, feels a little wild to see, and of course, we can't forget about the urgency to go out and buy toilet paper. Remember that in the very beginning? And people going to great lengths to stay safe, I guess.
You know what? So many memories triggering so much trauma looking back. All right.
Very much so.
So the Prime Minister, it seems like or former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he's moved on with Katy Perry. Every time I see them, they seem to be happy together, but there's more details. What can you tell us?
Well, every time Katy Perry posts something about the two of them, it makes headline news. It becomes viral. Here are just some of the posts that she put up recently. A little silly picture between them, yes. Looks like she's hemming it up a little bit more than he is. And then this is the thing that got people talking. Patiently waiting for my boyfriend to finish his big boy business stuff so we can call. Which is hilarious considering, you know, he was the former Prime Minister of Canada and she's referring to his work as big boy business. But to that effect, there's still a lot of curiosity around this couple. How did they come to be? And Justin Trudeau's son, Xavier, was on Jesse Cruikshank's podcast and had this to say.
I was confused, but like, honestly, like to me, like the most important thing is like, if they're happy, then like that's what's important. Like, I can tell he's really happy with her. I know my dad, like when he's in love for sure.
When you saw those paparazzi pictures of your dad on a yacht wearing denim, did you text him immediately to say, but why are you wearing jeans on a boat?
I laughed. I actually laughed.
I'm sure you saw the denim on a boat, Nathan. It was quite the scene, and I'm glad that his son was able to call him out on that.
So do you think this is going to last, Sam?
You know what? I'm a hopeless romantic, Nathan, and I wanted to, but it does seem like a very unlikely pairing. It's been going on longer than I think most people expected.
All right, so we'll see. Sam East from 99.9 Virgin Radio. Always a pleasure. Happy Friday. Take care.
Have a good weekend.
Now I know I can't wear jeans on a boat. Well, the countdown is on to the 98th Academy Awards this weekend. Host Conan O'Brien helped to roll out the red carpet at the Dolby Theatre earlier this week. He hinted he is planning to take some slightly bigger swings in his comments than he did at last year's show. Oscars organizers have said they are preparing special cinematic tributes for sinners and K-pop demon hunters as the countdown continues to the 98th Academy Awards, airing Sunday night right here on CTV. And Toronto native Patrick J. Adams has returned to his hometown to promote his new TV series.
CTV's Andrea Kay sat down with the actor and his co-star to learn more about Madison.
Hi. Hi. Toronto native and Los Angeles-based actor Patrick J. Adams is home for a couple of days, but this is his new co-star Ella Chapman's first trip to Canada.
Has Patrick been showing you around? He has, actually. He took me to a really good restaurant last night. What was it? Union. On Ossington. Okay. It was delicious, and apparently we're going somewhere else tonight.
Tonight. Oh, the original.
The original.
So I'm getting the full tour.
They are here to promote their new TV series, Madison. This is Chapman's big break. The Virginia native, former model, and groundling sketch comedy improvisation performer got emotional when I reminded her how far she's come in such a short time.
Aww. That makes me want to cry. I'm like, if I feel so like lucky. Yeah, sorry. Just like, I don't know, that struck a chord with me. Yeah, I feel really lucky.
Madison stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Kurt Russell. The series is the latest offering from Academy Award nominee Taylor Sheridan. In it, a family is dealing with an unimaginable loss.
Mine is not a family designed to withstand tragedy.
Adams is a veteran performer whose breakout role was in the long-running series Suits, which was shot in Toronto.
I think it's time for one last con. And now to get a phone call to come and join this universe and work with a writer who's as prolific and committed to telling the story as Taylor is, and then to get paired up with this just irrationally, insanely talented cast is, yeah, I can't believe I get like another version of that in my life. I feel really grateful.
Shot in Montana and New York City, they believe this show will give people a lot to think and talk about.
I think if people have suffered grief, or sadly will in the future, it's really helpful to be reminded that in order to move through that, I think with grace and get to the other side of it, we have to do it with people, the people we love, and you know, a lot of times that hopefully is our family. So that's what the show's about.
But they promise there are some lighter moments.
We got a fish! The show is just cathartic, I think, and we had so much fun making it, and we are so proud of it, and I hope that people find as much love in it that we did.
Madison debuts tomorrow on Paramount+. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Coming up, making sure everyone can go to prom. We'll have more on a Brantford school making sure one of the biggest events of the year is barrier-free. Prom can be a high school highlight for many, but for others, it can be unaffordable, inaccessible, or just plain uncomfortable.
Now a teacher in Brantford is hoping to change that by hosting a barrier-free prom for students with special needs. CTV's Alexandra Hollick has the story.
What do you think?
Great.
You like this one?
Finding the right fit isn't only about dresses. For students with special needs, fitting in at their high school prom can be a challenge.
Sometimes kids don't feel don't feel safe. Sometimes they don't feel that they're comfortable. Oh, yeah.
Melissa Lancaster wants to change that. The Brantford teacher is putting on a barrier-free prom for special education students from 3 local high schools.
Going to prom is a rite of passage for high school kids, and everybody should have that opportunity to be a part of that.
Known as the Spring Fling, the free dinner and dance is organized by Lancaster's Recreation and Leadership class.
It's about bringing the community together and making sure the kids have a wonderful time.
You know, give them the best opportunity that they can have.
To do that, Assumption College is collecting donations.
Getting dresses, suits, and money for it.
We're looking for a lot of dresses and suits, so anything that, you know, is hiding in the back of your closet, you can come forward and donate at our office.
Thank you so much.
Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Word is spreading quickly.
My wife has got 4 dresses, and I have 1 suit left that I've not been wearing for a few years. So we thought we'd put them to better use. And I think this is a very good use.
The students also hope to raise $5,000 to pay for meals and materials.
If there's any lumber yards that could help so we could build decorations for the event.
With the school's culinary and construction programs covering food and decor, cosmetology students are also lending a helping hand and a hairbrush.
They do like makeup upstairs and like hair and paint your nails.
It's a whole school event, all hands on deck.
With a goal of giving the spec ed students a night they'll never forget.
People can have the opportunity to have fun and meet new people.
I'm excited.
Clothing can be dropped off at the school's main office until the end of the month, while monetary donations will be collected until April 23rd. But beyond the big night, Lancaster says she hopes other schools follow suit.
My hope is that perhaps it inspires others in our province or beyond to maybe do something for their kids, because everybody deserves to go to prom.
Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Brantford.
Great job. Brings back fun memories, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, it may not feel like it with the weather outside today, but I suppose prom season is just around the corner if we can be patient a little longer.
Absolutely. And, you know, snow is part of spring. I hate to tell us all that, but it's just normal, especially in the month of March. As we know, March can be quite volatile, and we're seeing that right now on the satellite and radar. This is some of the heaviest snow at this point through the early afternoon. We might even get a little break in the precipitation, but notice down near Windsor, there's some rain that's about to push into that part of Ontario. -5 degrees is what we're forecasting for a low overnight tonight. And then tomorrow's daytime high is +3. Waking up tomorrow morning, it's going to feel like -14. The winds are still going to be quite powerful, but they do settle down as the day goes on. It's just a chance of flurries for tomorrow. And then Sunday, we are active once again. Want to talk a little bit about next week. I know for so many kids, it is March break. The week is going to start off quite mild on Monday. Look at the teen temperatures, but showers are in the forecast, and then we cool down starting Monday night and into Tuesday. Chance of flurries for Tuesday and perhaps for Wednesday. We're also keeping an eye on Thursday for some active weather, but at least the temperature will climb back out of freezing territory. Nathan and Natalie.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that is it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching. I'm Natalie Johnson.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.